Good day, guys, and a very Merry Christmas to everyone. So since it's Christmas today, I thought we'd talk about something in tone with the spirit of Christmas. The gift of giving. And when I say that, I'm talking about giving AIDS.
Welcome to the channel of Skeptic Llama. Had excommunicated him for being skeptic, along with his abortion of a dress sense. Now he roams the wilds of the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you none other than
Skeptic Llama, Skeptic Llama,
Skeptic Llama.
So there is a certain part of the gay community that is called bug chasers. These people would like to do nothing else but get HIV, become HIV positive, or as they call it, get POSed. So these people seek out places where they can find people who are POS. They seek out POS people, positive, that will be HIV positive, on the internet, try to arrange meetings with them. They go bareback trying to get as much of the positive fluid inside them as they can. And today, for you guys, as a special gift to everyone out there, today we will be reading the story of one of these people. Now, before I go on, this is not a child-friendly video. It will contain words that you guys don't want. This is also a video about a gay encounter. So if any of those things are things that you shouldn't be listening to, then you know what to do. Go watch a Markiplier or something. Okay? So the rest of you guys want to hear the story. Well, let's get to it. So in the words of a certain guy called Mix Blender, I'm a bareback bottom, love to get fucked and having a guy breed my hole. The idea of having a hot guy fuck me and shooting his dirty seed in my ass inspired many spanking marathons. I'm sure that I have taken a POS load before, not knowing the status of whoever was fucking me or really even caring for that matter. I had never knowingly let a guy that was POS fuck me. One night, I was cruising all the slut sites looking for other bareback guys to play with when this really hot guy messaged me. He said that he had read in my profile that I like to go bare and that I was a bottom. He told me that he was looking for a hole to use for the evening. That got my attention. I had never been submissive, and I must admit it had been another fantasy of mine to completely give up control. He asked me if I was into PMP, and I told him that I do party sometimes. We chatted for a little while, with the standard Q&A, you know, how big, what position, where to come. Then I asked POS neg. He responded with POS. I told him I was a neg. To which he responded, you want to get a charged load in you tonight? I was shocked and very turned on. I asked him if he fucked neg guys bareback. He told me he did all the time, and that he even hosted several conventions parties. I wasn't familiar with the term. He explained that a conventions party was where a group of POS tops get together and breed a neg guy. The sole reason for this was to spread demon seed and infect the neg bottom. Before I could answer, he asked me if I liked to PMP. I told him that I did, but I didn't have any party supplies. He said that if I wanted, I could come over to his place and get ass fucked and get high. He asked me if I'd ever slammed. I told him I had been slammed before, but I was terrified of needles. I'm very good at slamming others, he returned. Should I go? The thought of getting slammed and pounded was so tempting, but was I ready to take that step towards becoming POS? I might as well, I responded. He gave me directions, and I was on my way. When I got to his house, we sat and talked for a while. He told me that he was going to enjoy planting his dirty seed in me. Then asked me if I liked groups. I told him yes, and he said good that he would get us slammed when we have a few of his top buddies stop by and load my ass. He told me that I was going to be a cum dump for him and his friends. I asked him if the guys were POS or neg. He told me they were all POS. This made my dick begin to grow. He got slam ready and did me first. When he released the belt on my arm, I could feel the rush hit me instantly. Then came the cough. I could feel that it was a very strong slam. He did himself and sat down on the bed next to me. I started sucking his dick while I was taking off my clothes. He stood up, bent me over the side of the bed, lubed my hole up with some elbow grease that was laying on the bed, and shoved his dick all the way in. Normally, this would have brought tears to my eye and a fist to his face. But it didn't even really hurt. I guess I was so high that I couldn't feel it. It wasn't long before he started to pound really hard and said he was about to come. He stopped and pulled out and made me tell him that I wanted his seed, which I told him. He managed to get his dick back inside me, and with a few hard thrusts, he unloaded in my hole. He walked out. Sorry guys, it's just hard to keep fucking serious on this shit. He walked out of the room and told me to stay put. When he returned, he had a collar and some restraints, which he fastened on my wrist, ankles and neck. Then I followed him into another room. It was a playroom with a sling, TV playing porn, fuck bench, some toys and lube, and a computer setup with a webcam. He helped me into the sling and hooked the restraints to the chain support, then started to cruise the sex sites for tops to come and try out my hole. In no time, 15 or 20 minutes, there was 3 guys in line to blow their load in my tight hole, and 5 more on the way. I realized that I had just come into this guy's house, let him drop a charged load on me, and now was going to be a cum dump for whoever wants, and I hadn't even gotten his name. He walked over to the sling and let me know that the webcam was on, and I was going to be used all weekend. There must have been 10 or more guys that had charged in my ass with dirty seed before. The slam started to fade away. He could tell that I was beginning to come down, and he mixed up a booty bump and told me to get on the floor face down with my ass in the air as he unlocked the restraints. Once I was on the floor, he inserted the booty bump and told me to squeeze my ass tight so that the booty bump and all the spunk would drip out. So fucked up. As I started to feel my stomach cramp up from the booty bump, he dressed me and told me that we were going to the bath and that I was going to take all loads. He rented one of the sling rooms and told me to get into the sling as he mixed up another booty bump. I secured the restraints myself, all but one arm. He came over, secured the last arm and started to insert another booty bump. I have no idea what a booty bump is, by the way. Like, no idea. I told him that I was okay for now. To this, he responded by placing a ball gag on my mouth and continued with my booty bump. I have to look up what a fucking booty bump is. It had only been 20 minutes since the last one. Now I was so high that I couldn't focus or see straight. He began to fuck me again, telling me how sloppy my hole was, and that when he had fucked me the first time that he had ripped me, he said that he knew because when he pulled out there was blood all over his dick. He said that was a good thing. It would make it easier to ensure that all my neg status was gone for good. Then he told me that he had used the point for my slam, and that when he slammed me, there were still a good bit of his poison blood in it. And now it was running through my veins. He must have been fucking me at least for an hour. Not that I was complaining. My ass was so hungry from the booty bumps that the only thing I could think about was getting more dick. He shot another death load into me and opened the door and walked away. It was a few minutes before the first guy walked in and began to get his dick so hard that he could fuck me. He was a much older man, probably 55 or 60, but he had a huge dick. He came after about 5 minutes of fucking me, wiped his dick off and left. I didn't realize that there was a group of 4 guys waiting. They took turns, one after another, all loading up my eager ass. A while later, my friend returned, closed the door, and mixed up a huge booty bump. He squeezed it into my hole, and for good measure, he pushed a large rock of meth up my ass with his finger. He massaged it until it was completely dissolved. Then he removed the ball gag and asked me how I was doing. I was so high I could barely answer, but I managed to say that I was feeling a little dizzy and hot. He gave me a bottle of water and told me to drink as he unlocked the restraints. I drank the water and instantly began to feel better. He said that he had to leave to do something, but that he would be back. Then he told me that he had left a message on all the dry erase boards, saying there was an eager ass in the sling room taking all loads. Pause is a plus as he left. I knew that I should probably get up and leave, but the meth was starting to take effect, so I waited. It wasn't long before a line began to form. I eagerly took every load that was offered. I'm not sure how long I was there in the sling room. How many guys filled my hole with their juice. When I finally started to come down from the meth, climbed down to the sling, put on my clothes and left the bathhouse, I felt so trashy when I walked into the daylight, like everyone knew what I had just done. Not to mention that there was a wet place on the ass of my jeans, where some of the spunk had slipped out of my now opened hole. It's been a few months since that happened. And now I've joined the POS Club. What the fuck? What the fuck is this shit? Well, Clutch is yelling in the other room. She had to listen to this before everyone else. Anyways, guys, feel free to give gifts, but don't give AIDS around to people. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and stay classy. Do you want to come and say Merry Christmas to them?
Merry Christmas! Llama just fucking traumatized me.